Let's talk about Joe Hayden. Missed yesterday, but was very happy to be in camp today. There really was no drama with Joe Hayden. It just seemed like Mike Holmgren said last week, we got to wait for the dominoes to fall, and then he'll be into camp. What kind of an impact can he make? And you know, it's an interesting position. I think the interesting thing is, in the past, we've seen first-round picks that have held out even for one practice, and they were in the doghouse for the rest of the season, or high draft picks. I don't think that's going to happen with him. I think they had him right in the mix today. Just your thoughts on their first-round pick.
You know, I've seen him in person when I attended one of the rookie intro sessions, and surprisingly, I was kind of surprised because he's not as big as you might think. But he's a very aggressive corner. I mean, he shows the ability to hit and to come up and to feel. And, you know, that's important because you can't be timid out there. I mean, there haven't been many timid, great cornerbacks in the history. You know, Deion Sanders, but how many Deion Sanders can you name? You know, guys that can run 4.2 and say, oh, beat me if you can. So, you know, this kid is going to have a strong responsibility from the money that they have given him. They are counting on him to come and play right now. I don't know what anybody else thinks, but if you sign a player for
50 million,
yeah, with 26 guaranteed, he's not going to be sitting on the bench picking in his nose.
Reg, the Browns also at linebacker, they upgraded that position. Scott Fajita comes in with a Super Bowl ring. How much do the guys have somebody to point to, go like, hey, if we do things right, we could be like this guy?
Well, you need that leadership, and you need that having been there, and Scott Fajita has been there, and it's great when a guy wins a Super Bowl and comes to another team because he represents instant credibility, and he's also a pretty good football player. So I think the linebacker, you know, linebacking core was almost decimated at one point. Now they've got linebackers all over the place. They've got 2 deep and perhaps 2.5 deep in terms of that position, and that's very good when you're playing 3-4 because there's a bevy of linebackers that you can choose from who can do a lot of different things, and I think what we're going to see is an interchangeable group there that's probably going to be applicable to whatever situation that the Browns face.
Isn't that a good point, though, for Eric Mangini? Because Tom Heckert put those guys in there, brought these free agents that are interchangeable, that can play inside, they can play outside, and so now Heckert didn't get the guys that maybe would have fit into a Holmgren system before. They fit into a Mangini system, and that's what Eric wants. And I think that all builds a solid foundation from GM to president to head coach and then forward.
Yeah, another good point because it suggests to me that there's a respect between the personnel people and the football people, and you have to have that. You can't have the two departments working in opposition. They've got to work together. They've got to be on the same page. The philosophy of the head coach must filter into the thinking of the personnel people in terms of who you bring here. And Eric Mangini is looking for good, tough football players in that secondary, people that can hit, people that can cover. And I think this is the first time since the return of the football team that the quality is going to be there in the secondary. And
possibly the best defensive player on the team still is Shaun Rogers, and he's going to slide over from maybe the right side to the left side, moving from his nose tackle position in this 3-4. How much of an adjustment is that going to be for the big fella?
Well, the first thing you have to understand is you cannot coach 6'5", 370 and leaping ability and quickness and all that stuff. So, yeah, you're right, too. There's nothing like that big guy that's pushing that pocket and that's growling out there like a mean, hungry bear. And I don't mean that negatively. I just mean that that's the kind of thing that those guys that we've just been talking about, those secondary people, they're looking for that push. Because if they get that push, it gives them more confidence in terms of how to play their schemes and how aggressive they can be in terms of covering receivers. And when you get that, what happens then is you start to get interceptions and you start to get tip balls and that kind of thing, and you get more turnovers. And turnovers can, as you know, can be the great leveler in terms of anything else that you might not have, because the more times you get the football and give it to your offense, the more chances you have to score.
I think we've talked about everything but the club seating at this point. Did we forget anything? Anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, there's some seats that I'm just not happy with in the Cleveland Browns Stadium. No, Cleveland Browns Stadium is a great place to watch football, and we're laughing at this, but I did see that Mike Holmgren did make some comments to Browns fans about their conduct, and how to purport themselves. And I would say, for someone coming from the outside looking in, a coach who's been in places like Green Bay, particularly Green Bay, who, in my opinion, has the kind of allegiance and loyalty to their football team that we have here, and he understands. He's not being negative. I don't think it's that he doesn't want you to have a good time, but it's that it should be a family atmosphere. And the Cleveland Browns need that crowd behind them. If you get that crowd behind you and you bring back the passion, you can really be an asset to this football team going forward and help them win football games.
So you know what that means, Terry? Leave your Miami Heat jersey at home, right?
I don't have one.
All right, good. We're making sure. All right, you have any more questions?
I'm good.
You're good.
Yeah, did I get paid by the question?
Yeah, I think you do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks for watching on Newsnet 5.